Hi car gang. So we got another video, and well, we're almost done with just the basic essentials of the engine. So here we go, let's get right into it. So today we're discussing oil. Oil is something that's very important to the functioning of your car because, like, as we've discussed, there's so much moving parts in an engine that there's so much moving parts, there's so much contact with metal parts. And something that we don't like is metal on metal contact. That's bad. It wears down engine parts and it is not good. So the solution for this is oil, because like if you've used any sort of cooking oil before, got on your hands, you'll notice it's all slippery and slimy and gross. I hate the feeling of oil on my hands. So we're going to discuss oil today and what it does for you. So there's two types of oil systems, a wet sump and a dry sump. Now, if we look down here, this part right here, so as we established, this is a crankshaft, and the oil sump, which is just where the oil sits, is underneath the engine. It's sometimes called the sump, it's sometimes called the oil pan, and it's underneath the crankshaft. So how it works is, well, let me look at my model. Okay. So this is like our crankshaft camshaft up here, our crankshaft here, and our crankshaft powers an oil pump. So that oil pump pulls it in through this strainer right here. So it goes up here and out this way. This is an oil filter. This oil filter makes sure, well, it's a filter. It keeps dust, rocks, any bad stuff that's not supposed to be in your oil out of it, which then sends it up and through these various things. So, well, got our marker. So, if you remember back to my first video about engine blocks, there's a bunch of actual tiny holes and tiny reservoirs and channels inside your engine block that allow oil to go through. And this actually helps cooling because, as you might know, a lot of heat builds up, and the oil running through, it absorbs some heat and carries it off, which is its secondary function. Its primary function is for lubrication, of course, and there is a primary engine cooling system that we'll talk about later. So it sends it up through here, and now this green thing is like your oil. It's one of the channels the oil goes through, and it sends it to this red part here. Just pretend this is a cylinder wall. There's an oil channel in here which sends it out to these little red spokey things, which are your oil sprayers. So as the pistons are moving up and down, they're actually rubbing against the side of the piston wall, which is of course not good. So these things here, when it goes up, it sprays along the sides of the oil of the cylinder wall. So when it goes up, and comes back down, it catches that oil, so it has something in between the metal and metal, so that it's easier rubbing and they don't wear at each other. So it goes up there. I forgot to draw more on here, but it goes up through here, and then into this little channel here where there's oil sprayers for the camshafts and the rocker arms. Now don't let this fool you. It's not going straight through the cams, straight through the rocker arms, and through the valves. It's actually like kind of in front of it. I just can't draw very well, so I'm sorry about that. It sprays oil on all this. And there's actually a little drip pan that's like parallel with this. So the oils go on here, it drips down, it goes back, and it falls down through a little channel, which sends it back into the reservoir or the pan or oil sump, which starts a whole process over again. So that's pretty much the gist of it. Now we're going to talk about the other type of oil system, which is a dry sump. A dry sump is a little different, being that one's called a wet sump. This is a dry sump model right here. So as you can see, this is how it sits right here. So this is the crankshaft which operates this pump, but the strainer sends it outside to this tank here. So most of the oil, instead of being stored in the actual sump or oil pan or oil reservoir, it's actually stored in a separate tank, and there's some advantage to it. So if you have like a race car or some performance oriented car, this could help you with weight distribution, and also another thing that I'll discuss here. So pumps it out from here, sends it into this oil tank, which sends it out to a second oil pump and this to the oil filter.